Hi, everyone. It's so great to be with all of you. I wish we were together in person, but Zoom is serving us well for the last 9 months. So I'm Kathy Hawks, Associate Dean for External Relations and Global Programs, and I'm joined by my colleagues Lauren Watchkin and Wendy Connors here. Lauren will help us with Q&A, so as I go along, please feel free to add things to the chat box or raise your hand and we will call on you when the session's over. So we have 5 themes to update you on tonight, starting with the COVID-19 response and school reopening this fall. Tell you a little bit about our students, the admissions and the career development that they have gone through over the last 9 months, our diversity initiatives across Sloan, a little bit on Kendall Square updates and the way it looks today, and our programming and engagement around the world. So if you're curious about anything, or if I didn't mention something that you've been thinking about as it relates to Sloan, again, please put it in the chat as we go along. So a little bit about life in Cambridge this fall. So we were open, which was very different than many of our peer schools. I think the only other schools that were actually open were Columbia and then our peer schools in Chicago. And we are the only school that is currently still open. So as the semester draws to a close at the end of this week, it took a lot of planning from a group of faculty and staff over the last 6 months to make our campus safe and to make it a place where we could bring students safely together. So we brought 1,200 students back to MIT Sloan campus, which was hugely important, particularly for our international students so they could join us. The in-person experience was required for their visa to enter the US. And our returning students who missed the part of the semester in the spring of being together were so happy to be on campus and be together. The plan was labeled Smart, Safe, and Together. It required masks in the buildings, limited entrance and exits to each of the buildings, and testing twice per week to gain entrance. We had no known transmissions between students on campus, which was a huge part of all of the planning that was put together. As Retzef Levy, who led the operations and the testing center setup, said he wanted it safer than going to the grocery store. And I think I can say a few days away from Friday that we were able to accomplish that on campus. Of course, there were learnings. As students joined us this fall, they described entering the building as Disneyland. Many of them had not been to a physical location in quite some time after they had quit their job. And many of them told us stories of leaving China, quarantining in a different country for 2 weeks, entering the US, quarantining again for 2 weeks, and then gaining access to campus. So people really did have a commitment, and we had a commitment to keep them safe. There were learnings, of course, in the classroom. Not everything was better, but Zoom has served us well, and we had been using it in our EMBA classrooms for the last 4 years. So we had a body of knowledge that we could build and scale on. Some of the things that our students miss the most are their co-curriculars. We weren't able to provide spaces given the limitations in the state of Massachusetts, and that was a real challenge for them that we hope to address in the spring. So not everything was perfect, but it was nice to have people together. Our students and admissions have been strong across all of our 6 programs. We over-enrolled slightly on the MBA side, having almost 480 MBA students enter, along with a Leader of Global Operations program. I'll tell you a little bit about the class of 2021. They come from 54 different countries, 41% women, 41% international, an average GMAT score of 730. And building on the success of last year, I'll tell you a little bit about the class of 2020 that had 96% of the class having offers as they exited. 2 years ago, some of you may have heard about our early admissions program that we launched. This is a program that works with undergrads all around the world that apply to our program in the last year of their undergraduate studies. They go through the admissions process, and then if they are accepted, they let us know that they'll come the next 2 to 5 years. Many of our peer schools have run this program for a long time, and we were excited to launch it because our MIT Sloan admissions colleagues were helping our MIT undergrads prepare for their Harvard Business School interviews, and we wanted to change that. Over 100 MIT undergrads in the first and second year have applied, and 95% of them were admitted in the first year and 84% of them were admitted in our second year. We are thrilled to have them continue in our community and to think about them joining us again. Not everything has been perfect on the student side either. It has been stressful. Many of our students were still looking for internships last summer, about 100 MBAs. Some of them had reneged offers and some of them had continued their search without being able to find opportunity in the spring. And so I want to thank all of the alumni who leapt into action and helped us support the Immediate Needs and Emerging Opportunities Fund, which helped fund many of their internships, either with startups that couldn't afford them or to partner with faculty and have meaningful internship experiences. Turning to something else that our students and alumni care about, are diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives across the school. About 2 years ago, our alumni board helped us transform a project that they had been working on with admissions into a task force that was helping advise the dean. In February of 2020, they provided a report to Dean Schmidtlein and suggested that he hire a head of diversity and equity and inclusion. He did one better than that. He hired 2 associate deans, Ray Reagan and Fiona Murray, to spearhead diversity, equity, and inclusion at Sloan, to move our culture into a constructive culture and one of conscious inclusion. Some of you may have attended their town hall this summer, and Fiona Murray has led an event series called the Inclusive Innovation Economy Series. We have one more coming up before the end of the year, and I hope you might join us. If you haven't seen them already, they are on our YouTube channel, and I think Lauren might be able to share that in the chat tonight. Looking ahead, I have one exciting announcement on the DEI front, and that is to announce that Sri Koka, our alumni board chair, EMBA class of 2013, will join me as the inaugural MIT Sloan Alumni Matters co-chair for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a student committee, we have an alumni committee, and faculty and staff committees that will help us and help Ray and Fiona work on this constructive culture. Turning to our physical location for a moment, Kendall Square. I know many of you haven't been there. I hadn't been there for a number of months myself over the summer, and it looks quite different. There is the tallest building in Cambridge now that holds 450 units that will house graduate students from all across MIT. There is the new innovation headquarters right over the Kendall Square T-stop and right across from the MIT Museum. The innovation headquarters will host the MIT Innovation Initiative. It will be home to MIT undergraduate admissions and will have co-working space for many entrepreneurs and innovators. Over the last 9 months, there has been much engagement and programming that has gone on around the world. Our office has partnered with the Career Development Office at Sloan to launch the Industry Advisors Program to help our students connect more deeply in the industries that they cared about. This year, we'll be doubling the number of advisors from 35 to 70 in that program. Over the summer, we partnered with the Action Learning Program and many of our alumni to secure 86 organizational processes course projects for our first year MBA students, something that traditionally the students would have to do on their own, and alumni leapt into action wanting to know how they could help. We have 9 active Sloan clubs around the world, 64 MIT Sloan 5 leaders across 22 cities, engaging the 5 most recent graduating class years. And we've had online programming almost every other week through our MIT Sloan Alumni Online sessions and our newly launched Affinity Council that has helped our students continue to network in industries that they're looking to enter over this fall. Looking ahead, just 3 things for all of you I hope that you'll join us. The Initiative on the Digital Economy is hosting a social media summit early in the spring. We'll be hosting Reunion 2021, and next fall we'll be hosting the Global Women's Conference. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions or thoughts that people have.
Thank you so much, Kathy. If you have questions or comments or would like to share a favorite Sloan memory, you can enter them into the chat box, or you can raise your hand or unmute yourself and chat with us now. We're a small enough group and we'd love to connect.
Personal anecdotes are also welcome. Your favorite Sloan memory or story.
Christopher, I see you've unmuted yourself. Would you like to share?
Yeah, I was just going to say, thanks. It seems like a lot of good stuff. I'm here in Singapore, you know, and been living in Singapore now for about 15 years. So my background in Sloan, you know, covering Asia and, you know, doing a lot of work, seeing this whole area grow. Just very impressive things you guys are doing, handling the situation well. You know, really impressed with the diversity and inclusion things that you're doing as well. I happen to be in charge of Pride for Dell Technologies over here across APJ. You know, they've asked me to take on that initiative, so that's something I'm very passionate about. So good to see that. Anyway, keep up the good work.
That's great. Thank you. I'm sure we could learn a lot from what you've been working on. Let's get together afterward.
I mean, very interesting. Singapore's had a lot of issues around pride and diversity and inclusion, you know, but they've made a lot of it's changed a lot over here from some of the past years.
I'm sure we could learn a lot. So
happy to share. You've got my contact now.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to share a Sloan memory, an update about where you are? Kathy, we do have one question from the audience. How have the faculty pivoted to teaching online in this kind of high flex environment?
Sure, thank you. About a third of our faculty are teaching remotely. So they are not in the classroom, and students are sitting there in the classroom, which is quite a different experience. And then we have a third of our faculty teaching live in person to a class of students. Some students are still remote because we did have some students that couldn't get to the US because of certain visa and travel restrictions. Those faculty are also teaching to an overflow classroom. So even though students are in person, they may not be in the exact classroom. And then about a third of our classes are fully remote. So Dean Schmidtlein teaches a class with President Emeriti Susan Hockfield, where they bring CEOs typically to campus. And that has been quite a different experience. It's fully virtual, and they've been able to have speakers that haven't been able to make it in person in Cambridge before. So besides the virtual experience that those students are having in that classroom, then there are a number of recitations and small group meetings that are happening to also give the students in-person experience. So it's been a lot of different teaching, and we've learned a lot. The Sandberg Conference Center that many of you may have traveled to at the top 2 levels of E52 has been transformed for our executive MBA students to provide space for them while they're on campus to be socially distanced and to be in person for their week, about every 3 weeks to be in person. So that's also been a huge learning for us and quite different than the in-person class experience.
Thanks, Kathy. It's been quite a journey for everyone. I noticed a few people unmuted themselves. Manuel, did you have a question or a comment? Would you like to talk?
Just a comment. I'm the chair of the Hispanic Diversity and Inclusion for SCORE. SCORE is an organization that helps small businesses. Unix. I do that as a feedback. But it's interesting how over the last few months have been taking importance again those activities. And one of the main purposes of that is helping to ensure the engagement and not increase the tenure of volunteers that are Spanish speakers, for example, in the organization, increase the mentoring. Something if you want, I can share something there. I can send my email and I can share my experiences or exchange things that may help as well.
That would be great. That would be great. Thank you. As the alumni committee is forming and really figuring out how we can best serve the committee, we are really in learning mode right now. So would love to connect with you after.
Thank you so much for that. Kathy, from the chat box, we have a question about what kind of Europe opportunities that Sloan will be offering in the spring versus right now. That might be a question for our undergraduate colleagues, but if you want to take a stab at that.
I'm not quite sure about Europe. I can get back to you on that. I do know that the travel component of Action Learning, for example, has been suspended for the spring. So, but I'm not sure exactly how they're transforming the Europe experience. So we will get back to you.
Thank you, Kathy. And Nancy, I see that you unmuted.
Oh yeah, hi, I just thought I'd check in. I'm Nancy, graduated in 1984, a while ago, and worked for Microsoft for quite a while. And then I've been retired for quite a while, pretty much working mostly in the climate change philanthropy. And I'm really interested in, that wasn't anywhere on our radar back in the 80s. How much is climate change and the work that needs to be done to fix it? How much is that kind of part of the current Sloan curriculum, or part of the thoughts of the students that are going there right now?
Oh, it is huge. So I would say over the last, so I've been at Sloan for 14 years. It was almost a student club 14 years ago. And then about 10 years ago, it was transformed into a formal initiative that brings faculty together to both do research and action learning. Now there's a sustainability certificate. We also have a donor-funded internship program that helps match students who would like opportunities with companies that have a sustainable mission, who may not be able to afford an MBA program. So it is, I believe last year we graduated over 75 students with their sustainability certificate, which was up from maybe 10 or 12 in the first couple of years. So there are conferences that cover that. There's also, you may have seen the different simulations that John Sturman and others have put together around climate change. And so all of our students go through the beer game and those simulations as they experience their MBA, but I'd be happy to share more. I'm probably just hitting the surface on all of that.
Yeah, great, thank you. I have been on that, the simulation, I've done that, and it's pretty interesting, fascinating, really.
We also had someone organize that with a number of members of Congress a few years ago. So we've been able to sort of bring things together to lots of different groups of people. Executive education has a pretty large sustainability footprint. So lots of faculty working on lots of tough problems with a lot of partners from the sciences across campus.
Great. Well, I'm hopeful that we can, with the new administration, we can make some more progress on that at the federal level as well.
We can hope. And if not MIT, where?
Well, we're doing a lot in Washington State. I mean, Washington, Oregon, I'm on the board of Washington Conservation Voters, and so we do a lot of environmental political work.
Sure.
I mean, one thing we can do is lead from the states and then try to create policy because we have, we have a good political environment for it here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can, other states can use that as a model. So that's another way to do it. We're not going to make a whole lot of progress at the federal level, except for maybe infrastructure.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for doing that important work.
If you're just joining us, we'd be happy to chat with you. You can ask questions. You can give us your favorite Sloan memory. Feel free to unmute or add that into the chat box. It's good to see everyone. I believe that the event tonight does end at 8:30. So if there were any other rooms or trade show booths you wanted to pop into, you've got a few more minutes to do that.
folks are leaving us. Until we can be together again, stay safe and stay healthy.
Kathy, a question in the chat. Do you know what percentage of undergraduates are Sloan alumni or Sloan students?
Our Sloan students. So majors are, I think we had 150 majors last year, but I'm not sure across major and minor how many Sloan students there are. I know it's been steadily increasing over the last 10 years, but I'd have to get the final numbers. With this crowd, I would never want to misquote.
I believe there is a dashboard, an MIT dashboard where you can look up stats for majors, and so it's listed there. I don't think I can do it quickly enough before the session. A savvy alum, I'm sure, could find it. Any other comments or questions about Sloan, about MIT, about the event tonight? It was really wonderful to see you all. Kathy and Wendy and Haley and I can't express enough how much we wish we were seeing you in person and hope to do so as soon as possible.
We miss being with all of you.
Thank you all so much for attending tonight, and we hope to see you online soon.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.